When I was 10, my mother left me after my father's sudden death, and now she criticizes my wife for not empathizing with her past struggles. I'm 38 now, and losing my dad felt like the world had shifted irreversibly. His passing wasn't calm or gentle. It was jarring, the kind of event you replay endlessly, try and make sense of it. One day, his booming laughter filled our cozy living room. The next, he was gone. The details of his death were raw and overwhelming, too heavy for a child to fully process, yet they lingered in my memory. My mom struggled immensely. She tried to stay strong, but you could see the toll it took. Her eyes dulled, her hands trembled more each day. Our home, once vibrant with her warmth and joy, became a muted shell. She'd sit at the dining table, staring at untouched tea, lost in the grief that seemed to consume her. I recall the morning she announced she was returning to her home country. Her voice was calm, but her fidgeting hands revealed her inner turmoil. Our house, once alive with family routines, grew silent, the walls holding echoes of happier times. Dad's hearty chuckles, his comforting presence. Mom said the house reminded her too much of him, that she needed space to mourn away from those memories. "It's just for a bit," she said, her smile strained and unconvincing. As a kid, I didn't grasp the weight of it. I nodded, believing she'd return soon, and life would resume. Her temporary move became permanent. Her rare visits were awkward, filled with an uneasy distance, as if she were a visitor rather than our mother. I saw the guilt in her eyes, the struggle to reconnect with children who felt like strangers. Weeks became months, then years, and her absence became our reality. Birthdays and holidays passed without her. Phone calls were our only connection, her voice growing unfamiliar, heavy with persistent sorrow. Each call reminded me of the growing divide between our old life with Dad and our new one without her. The Wilsons, close family friends, took us in. Mr. Wilson was Dad's college friend, and Mrs. Wilson had been Mom's bridesmaid. They did their best, turning their spare room into ours, stocking our favorite snacks, and trying to maintain our family traditions. But their home, too tidy and quiet, never felt like ours. At night, the silence was deafening, a reminder that this wasn't temporary. Lying in bed, listening to my sister's soft breathing, I wrestled with what-ifs. If I'd been less trouble, quieter, less like Dad, as Mom often said, would you have stayed? These thoughts spiraled, leaving me breathless with a sting of abandonment. Mrs. Wilson would sometimes hear me, knocking gently before sitting by my bed, offering comfort that couldn't replace my mother's embrace. This shaped how I parent my two children. I strive to be a constant presence, sometimes overly protective, ensuring they feel secure, knowing I'm always there. Mom's choice to leave during our time of need left a void I refused to let my kids experience. I understand she was grappling with grief, but the emotional wound lingers. Accepting her decision has been one of the hardest parts of growing up, and even now, I struggle not to let resentment taint the love I still have for her. I met my wife in college, a stroke of fortune. We bonded over a dull economics class, her vibrant presence cutting through the monotony. Her note-taking was almost artistic, her face flickering between amusement and frustration. We went from sharing notes to coffee, then dreams and fears. Telling her about my family came later, during a summer sunset at a park near campus. The sky glowed orange and gold as I shared the good, Dad's laughter, Mom's festive baking, and the painful, how Dad's death dimmed our world, how Mom left. She listened, her hand in mine, her eyes full of empathy. When I finished, she squeezed my hand, sharing her own story of loss, growing up without grandparents, feeling isolated. That night, I realized she was more than a partner. She was my ally, understanding both my joy and pain. Her acceptance deepened my love, lifting a weight I carried. Since sharing my past, there's been an unspoken tension around my mom. My wife supports me but struggles to connect with her, not out of spite, but because she can't reconcile Mom's abandonment with the woman she's met. I've explained that Mom was grieving, needing time after Dad's death, hoping to bridge the gap. But to my wife, fiercely loyal to family, leaving children behind is unthinkable. She's never rude, encouraging my calls to Mom and suggesting gifts for Mother's Day, but she keeps a polite distance. At family gatherings, she's cordial yet guarded, her eyes signaling boundaries everyone senses. "I'm here for you," she whispers, squeezing my hand, a reminder her stance isn't to hurt me but to protect herself. I'm caught in the middle, translating emotions between them. I tell Mom my wife is protective, hoping to ease her hurt. To my wife, I say Mom regrets her absence, trying to spark empathy. It's a delicate balance, but my wife's support, despite her reservations, shows her strength and respect for me. Recently, I took the kids to visit Mom in her home country. My wife stayed behind for work, relieved to avoid the usual tension. I told Mom, and though she nodded, her disappointment was clear. The first days were joyful. Mom took the kids to parks and museums, her laughter almost erasing past complexities. But one evening, as my aunt cooked, I overheard them talking about my wife. She thinks she's above us, my aunt said, her voice sharp. A glass clinked, likely Mom agreeing. She's arrogant, but don't mention it around him. My stomach nodded. My wife always strives to connect, never flaunting her background. Hearing them misjudge her sparked anger. I lingered on the stairs, unseen, as they aired grievances usually kept private. When Mom spotted me, her face shifted to guilt, the conversation halting. I confronted them, saying their words were unfair. My aunt brushed it off as a slip, but the damage was done. I explained my wife's efforts to fit in, her fear of overstepping mistaken for superiority. My wife grew up wealthy, inheriting her parents' estate after their early deaths, forcing her into adulthood young. She worked hard, her achievements earned, not gifted. She enjoys luxury, designer clothes, gourmet food, but carries it humbly. My middle-class roots, filled with simple joys, contrast her world. Yet she respects my family, engaging thoughtfully despite subtle tensions over her wealth. I demanded they stop, but my aunt insisted my wife's distance was arrogance. Mom, softer, admitted they might have misjudged but defended my aunt. I snapped, saying my wife resents Mom's absence during my childhood. Silence followed, and I retreated upstairs on the porch. I texted my sister for perspective. She urged me to apologize for peace's sake, but I couldn't ignore their unfairness. I replied, they don't see her efforts. Their words make her feel unwelcome. The house felt colder. I booked earlier flights, not just to escape, but to prioritize my wife and kids' well-being. My wife's demanding job in corporate law often keeps her from trips, preferring longer family vacations over tense visits with Mom. She's practical, wanting quality time free of past shadows. She's welcoming to Mom at our home, but avoids uncomfortable settings. Early in our engagement, she explained her unease stemmed from Mom's absence, not judgment, to keep our family stress-free. Fatherhood has deepened my understanding of her stance. I can't imagine leaving my kids, and I see why she values stability. If her parents had abandoned her, I'd struggle to forgive them, mirroring her protectiveness. Update. Months later, after reading advice, I decided leaving abruptly was rash. The next morning, with my aunt out and kids asleep, I spoke to Mom privately. In the quiet living room, I apologized for my outburst, but stressed their comments were hurtful and untrue. We need to talk openly, I said. Mom sighed, explaining her isolation after Dad's death, needing her family to grieve. It wasn't about escaping you, she insisted. I acknowledged her pain, but said my wife views leaving kids differently, especially as parents ourselves. Mom bristled, saying it's unfair for my wife to judge her past. We don't resent you, I said, but my wife sees family differently. I urged her to stop speaking ill of my wife and to tell my aunt the same. Mom promised to try, but said she couldn't control my aunt's opinions. Frustrated, I said, it's about respect. I can't bring my kids where their mom is disrespected. Mom nodded but defended her sister's loyalty, realizing she'd likely keep criticizing my wife behind my back. I booked flights for the next day. I texted my wife we'd return early, promising to explain in person. The next 24 hours were tense, the house quiet despite the kids' chatter. Saying goodbye, Mom asked when she'd see us again, her voice heavy. Things need to change, I said. My wife deserves respect. She hugged me, asking to pass her love to the kids. Back home, relief washed over me. I told my wife everything, Mom and my aunt's comments. The strained goodbye, she laughed lightly, saying, at least I'm just a snob. Her eyes showed concern, but she thanked me for defending her. We're in this together, she said. We agreed to keep some distance from Mom for now, prioritizing our family's peace. Months later, life feels stable. I call Mom occasionally, but tension lingers. My sister says Mom feels judged, still hurting from her past choices. I hope Mom sees it's about boundaries, not blame. Fatherhood has deepened my empathy for my wife's stance, seeing her dedication to our kids. I forgive Mom's choices made in grief, but they left scars shaping my view of relationships. My wife's support, despite the strain, strengthens us. Thanks for the advice. To those suggesting therapy, I'm okay but appreciate the concern.